It's so freaking cute! Just pay no mind to the IVs. They're kind of bad. Well, really bad actually, but hey, at least I win CMP, am I right? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you've guessed from the title of the video, the thumbnail, and the intro, we're gonna be using Morpeko in the Halloween Cup today, and I was fully prepared to lose with this Pokemon. I'll be honest, I didn't have a lot of hope for Morpeko, but oh my goodness, did this thing absolutely destroy my opponents. It carried its weight, and not only did it carry its weight, it carried the entire team. Of course, I was saving shields for it, but in a lot of situations, it was sweeping teams on its own with shields up. Keep that in mind. And I haven't had this much fun in Go Battle League in a really long time, which is why I am super excited to share with you guys the battles that I played with Morpeko in the Halloween Cup today. I should say that I got 4 positive sets in a row. The first set I played, I did lose. I was running a completely different team, and it took me a while to get used to Morpeko and really understand how it works. But after that, once I found the team that you guys are seeing on the screen right now, I went super positive, gaining 100 points. I climbed from the 2,750s to the 2,850s. I know I've been stuck at this ELO range for a while now. Last week we had Master League, which isn't really my cup of tea. So we've been here a while, still trying to get to Legend. But if you guys get a chance, I would highly recommend trying Morpeko out in the Halloween Cup while it's around, because keep in mind, in Halloween Cup, ground types are banned, which is why Morpeko has been dominating, for me at least. And the only ground types you're really going to see are Golurk, which absolutely destroys Morpeko, and Clodsire, which Morpeko can surprisingly do really well against. So there's that. Definitely give it a go in Halloween Cup. Keep in mind, in Great League, in Open Great League, it's not going to perform as well, unfortunately. I really wish it would, because it's so fun to use. But in Open Great League, you're going to see Pokemon like Dunsparce, Diggersby, other ground types, which are really going to make it a lot harder to run Morpeko. So take the opportunity now to try this Pokemon out if you want to. If you don't have one, keep in mind there is a limited timed research that's free for everyone. It's the Spiritomb timed research. Everyone should have it. And that one will grant you a Morpeko. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of people are going to say, oh, but I want PvP IVs. Let me tell you something. I built the first one I got. I didn't care. I wanted to try this Pokemon as soon as it came out, and I tried it as soon as it came out. I made sure to make that a possibility, so I just built the first one I got. Yeah, so it's up to you. Do you want to save that Stardust, or do you want to have fun? Anyways, that's enough of that. Let's get into the team that I built around Morpeko. So I did end up trying a few different teams before I finally settled on this one, but it is going to be Azu on the lead, with Shadow Drapion on the save swap and Morpeko in the back. In a lot of situations, I'm just going to save both shields for Morpeko, and Morpeko with shields up, like I said, can sweep. This team is ABB weak to ground, so you want to try to draw that ground type out with your Drapion, and in most cases, Drapion can threaten shields because it has access to that crunch and that Aqua Tail, which is going to hit for super effective against most of the ground types that are in the meta, in the Halloween Cup meta. And once you get that ground type out of the way, then Morpeko should be able to sweep. In most cases, the opponent isn't going to have a second ground type, and all the other Pokemon in this meta should at least take neutral damage from either of Morpeko's moves. Really quickly, before I get into the battles, there are a couple of leads and swaps that I want to cover really quickly and let you guys know how I handle them. So in the case of Azu lead, I will throw a Play Rough from my Azu, and then I will wait for them to throw their energy before swapping into my Drapion. In a lot of cases, an Azu lead is going to have a ground type in the back, and you want to draw that out before it's too late. You want to save your Azu for that ground type in case they have it. If they don't have it, swapping into Drapion is not the worst thing in the world because there's a lot of Pokemon that the Drapion is going to be pretty decent against. There's not a lot of Pokemon that are going to wall Drapion in this meta, which is why Drapion is one of the best safe swaps. Now, a lot of people will swap their own Drapion into your Azu, and if they do that, don't swap into one of your back Pokemon immediately. Instead, go for an Ice Beam on Azu, wait for your opponent to throw their energy. In a lot of cases, that Drapion isn't going to be running Sludge Bomb, it's going to have Crunch and Aqua Tail, which Azu is going to resist, so take that energy on Azu, and then bring in your own Drapion. Make sure they take an Ice Beam from your Azu, keep that in mind. Then bring in your own Drapion. If you swap into your own Drapion immediately when your opponent swaps, they'll be ahead by one fast move and they will be able to win that. And you also don't want to invest any shields on your Drapion because, like I said, you want to try as best as you can to save those shields for Morpeko. Now for Clodsire leads, try to land an Ice Beam from Azu and then swap into your Drapion. Take one Sludge Bomb on Azu, that's okay. And then you bring in Drapion. Your opponent shouldn't have a lot of energy. In some cases, you will be able to reach the Aqua Tail before they can reach an Earthquake on Clodsire. It all depends on how you play it, but if you reach that Aqua Tail before they reach a move, then your opponent might be forced to shield their Clodsire, and in that case, if they stay in against Drapion and go for Earthquake, then you can go ahead and shield. Any other lost lead like Toxapex or Fortress, just swap into your Drapion and hope for the best. Remember, Drapion is super spammy and it has that debuff potential with the Crunch, so it's not the worst into a lot of Pokemon. Alright, I think I've covered everything and I've been talking for way too long. The first set is almost over, so let's just jump into these battles. In this match, we're going to be up against a really nice lead of Malamar, and our opponent immediately swaps into Shadow Drapion. Okay, remember what I said, go for that Ice Beam first, let your opponent throw their energy before swapping into your own Drapion, and now the opponent is in Aqua Tail range, so I just need to go for one Aqua Tail to take them out. I'm going to take this Aqua Tail from them. I go for my own Aqua Tail. Let's see if they let this go. They do. This is really good. We didn't have to invest any shields and we were able to win switch. So unfortunately, I have to take a superpower from their Malamar before I can go for a move of my own. And then here, it was a bit of a risky move, but I was expecting my opponent to swap out immediately into Malamar, which is why I brought in Morpeko. I was able to go for that Aura Wheel before they went for another superpower. We took them out, and our opponent's final Pokemon is going to be Toxapex. We still have both our shields up, they still have both their shields up, but we're able to take them out with the two Psychic Fangs. Then we're going to go for another Aura Wheel. It is enough to take that Toxapex out, and Morpeko basically swept that entire backline for us. GG's to our opponent, and that is going to be a 3-2, so pretty good start. And that was also the first set that I played with this team, because before I was using a slightly different team, but this team is way better. Now in the next match, we're going to be up against an Azu on the lead. Now remember what I told you, I'm going to go for a play rough and take energy from them. This is really good. They went ahead and threw their own play rough, and now I can go ahead and swap into my Drapion just in case my opponent has that Golurk and I need to draw it out. I'm going to go for a Crunch here, and if my opponent stays in and goes for a move, I'm not going to shield my Drapion. I am saving my shields for Morpeko. They bring in a Marowak, a Alolan Marowak. Okay, we are going to be able to go for these Aqua Tails up against this Alolan Marowak. The second one lands, we were able to take a shield from them, and we are in an amazing position. If I can get shields out of the way, then Morpeko is going to be really good. I'm going to come in with Azu, go for a full farm down on this Marowak, and then I swapped immediately into my Morpeko because if my opponent had a ground type, they would have brought it out for Drapion, but they didn't, so I swap into Morpeko. My opponent had a Sableye in the back. We were able to one-shot the Sableye with Aura Wheel and then Thundershock their Azu down and take that win. GG's to our opponent. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to get a Shadow Golurk on the lead. Okay, whatever my opponent swaps into, I absolutely have to win switch. They bring in Azu and I decide to bring in Morpeko. I have to invest shields in this matchup, unfortunately, and it looks like I might have to invest both shields. I'm gonna go for an Aura Wheel. My opponent goes ahead and shields themselves. Now, here's the only issue with going hangry mode is that Aura Wheel becomes a dark type move, and if it's gonna be resisted by Azu, so unfortunately I'm not able to go for it, but I am able to go for a Psychic Fangs and then go for another Aura Wheel, take that Azu out, and I'm even able to go for a dark type Aura Wheel against Golurk. They let it go, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Charge-a-Bug. It is going to be Drapion, a full health Drapion, and a full health Azu against a Charge-a-Bug. Let's see how this goes. They have one shield left. I'm gonna go for an Aqua Tail here. This should take their final shield, and Azu should be able to take 2 discharges and live and still reach that Ice Beam. So I'm gonna take the first discharge here. It doesn't even come close to doing half our health. We're able to go for that Ice Beam. This is gonna KO, and the game pauses here. I get a little bit of a heart attack because I really thought my game crashed. That's happened a lot to me. But we're able to land that Ice Beam and take that win. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a fellow Morpeko enjoyer. I swap immediately into my Drapion, and well played to my opponent. They were able to catch the Aqua Tail on Azu. I was going to go for that Aqua Tail immediately because I don't want them to reach Aura Wheel, and they will win CMP. So I went for that Aqua Tail immediately. They caught it on Azu. I'm going to be able to get them low, but I don't want to invest any shields on Drapion. I'm going to come in with my own Azu and go for a full farm down and hopefully come out of this with so much energy that I can threaten the shields from their Morpeko. Okay, we're able to take this Ice Beam. They're going to bring that Morpeko back in. I'm going to go for an Ice Beam of my own, get a shield from my opponent, and I decide to shield here because I have so much energy on this Azu and I want to get their shields out of the way. But I'm going to go for another Ice Beam, and then I am going to swap into my Morpeko. Never mind, I'm staying in for some reason. Okay, I want them to throw their energy. They go for a Seed Bomb. Okay, they're running Seed Bomb and Aura Wheel. I have to shield whatever this is. It's a Seed Bomb because it's really going to hurt our Morpeko. But they catch the Aura Wheel on Mandibuzz. I'm not sure if they had enough energy for another Seed Bomb, but I think I should win CMP because I have 14 attack. Believe it or not, someone else was able to win CMP against my Morpeko, but because they bring in that Mandibuzz, which Morpeko absolutely walls, I'm able to farm up to 2 Aura Wheels, have an Aura Wheel ready for their Morpeko. I'll go for it immediately, take that Morpeko out, and we take that win. GG's to our opponent. Really quickly, because I've been asked this before, for those of you who are probably not familiar with it, CMP means charge move priority. If you have higher attack than your opponent and you throw your charge move at the same time, you will be able to throw your charge move before they do if you have higher attack. Anyways, moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a Clodsire on the lead. Now, I'm going to go for Ice Beam. They let it land. That's really good. I'm going to let the Sludge Bomb land, and then I'm going to swap into my Drapion. Here, I mess up. I should have gone for the Aqua Tail immediately, but I let them build up to an Earthquake, and then they bait with Sludge Bomb. I end up using a shield there, which is really bad. My opponent still has 2 shields left, by the way, and then they bring in Azu. Of course, they are expecting that I'm not running Sludge Bomb. They're correct. I'm not going to shield anything on Drapion, and I'm actually going to end up taking this switch because I got 2 defense drops on my opponent. I'm able to go for another Aqua Tail and even leave with a little bit of extra energy to throw another move on their next Pokemon. Okay, I remember this match. I could have won this, but I messed this up so badly. I'll tell you guys where I mess up. I'm going to bring in Morpeko here. I took the Earthquake on Azu, let it go, and then I bring in Morpeko. My opponent swaps into Clodsire. I still have a shield left, and I'm going to go for another Psychic Fangs. This was CMP tie. I have to shield whatever they're going to throw. It is going to be the Earthquake, so good shield on my end. Even if it was a Sludge Bomb, I was going to shield it. And I managed to catch the next move on Drapion. I was so proud of how I played that, but then I mess up big time here. I'm going to go for an Aura Wheel, and I should just tap the Psychic Fangs immediately, but I don't. They get to a rock tomb. They're able to take my Morpeko out. I should have just gone for that Psychic Fangs, but I got greedy. I wanted to farm up a little bit more energy, and I really thought they might be running Mirror Shot. And if they were running Mirror Shot, I would have lived that. But no, they're running Rock Tomb. If I had just gone for that Psychic Fangs, I could have reached another Psychic Fangs on Clodsire and won that. But I messed that up big time. This could have been a 4-1. But anyways, let's move on from that really annoying loss. In the next match, we were up against a Greninja on the lead, which is a really good lead for us. And our opponent safe swaps into Drapion. Okay, I'm actually staying in here for some reason. Yeah, because they built up a lot of energy, I decided to just stay in and go for 2 Ice Beams up against this Drapion. The 2 back Pokemon that I have should be able to take care of the Greninja anyways. They have a Quillfish in the back. This is another game where I mess up. I'll tell you guys where I mess up. But yeah, we're gonna go for an Aqua Tail here up against this Greninja. It's gonna be enough to take them out, and then they come in with Quillfish and they farm us down. I'm gonna bring Morpeko in here, and I was really hoping they would throw an Aqua Tail on the first move, but they go for a Scald that does so much damage. I needed to call one of the Aqua Tails in order to win this because Quillfish was super spammy. So we take a Scald, whatever, it happens. We end up losing that, but that is going to be a 3-2 in that set. The 2 losses that I got in that set, however, were really annoying, and I feel like they were preventable. But it's all good because, guys, this next set is a 5-0. We went 5-0 with Morpeko. Now, I'm going to get a terrible lead in the first game, and I swap out immediately into my Drapion, and I'm just hoping that this isn't the Earthquake. It's the Rock Tomb. We call it correctly, and I think I took a shield from them there. Yeah, I did take a shield from them there, so I'm still in a really good position here. My opponent brings in their own Drapion. They don't farm up extra energy. They want to take me out before I can weaken them with another Aqua Tail. And then I'm going to bring in Azu, of course, calling that they have Crunch and Aqua Tail, which are going to be resisted. I just need to go for 1 Ice Beam to take this out, and then I'm going to swap immediately into my Morpeko when my opponent brings that Fortress back in. Now watch this. My opponent has a Carbink in the back. You guys are going to see Morpeko sweep a Carbink and a Fortress. I go for an Aura Wheel on the first move. It does a pretty decent amount of damage to Carbink, and then I'm going to go for Psychic Fangs because, of course, the Dark-type Aura Wheel is going to be resisted. I reach another Aura Wheel, take the Carbink out. My opponent is saving their final shield for Fortress. I'm going to go for Psychic Fangs, take my opponent's final shield, and we're just barely able to reach that Aura Wheel. Take the Fortress out with 1 HP. Morpeko is able to take that win for us. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against another Clodsire on the lead. I'm going to go for that Ice Beam. A good thing here, they actually threw their Sludge Bomb immediately. I'm going to go for an Ice Beam, and then I am going to swap into Drapion. Okay, they let it land, bringing in that Drapion, going for that Aqua Tail immediately. Of course, they go ahead and catch it on Greninja. But I should be able to reach a Crunch here up against this Greninja. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to take them out. We go for that Crunch. I think I'm going to need 1 more Poison Sting. No, 2 more Poison Stings, but we're able to take Greninja out. And I'm even able to reach another Aqua Tail on their Clodsire, get a shield out of them. And then I bring in Azu just to take their energy because they have a lot of energy. And then I'm going to swap into Morpeko. Okay, they reach another move. I'm going to start using my shields here. I'm going to go for a Psychic Fangs up against this Clodsire. And I think I should be able to reach another Psychic Fangs before they can get to another Sludge Bomb. But they go ahead and swap into Azu. Okay, I'm just going to start debuffing my opponents. I have to shield whatever this is. It is an Ice Beam. Oh, okay. I'm going to slow it down here. You guys want to see a new technique? I'm going to go for an Aura Wheel here to take my opponent's final shield. And here's the problem. I am stuck in Hangry mode. That Aura Wheel is going to be a Dark type. So I go ahead and catch the next Ice Beam on Azu. Because I swap out, I'm able to get out of Hangry mode. And I can go for an Electric type Aura Wheel against Azu, take them out, and I have enough energy ready for a Psychic Fangs up against Clodsire. This is going to be enough to take their Clodsire out, and we're able to take that win. So if you guys need the electric type move and you have a Pokemon left, you can always swap out to get out of hangry mode. I was pretty proud of that little maneuver. But anyways, moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against an Azu on the lead. Okay, this time I play it a little bit differently. I let my opponent throw their energy, and then I just swap into my Drapion, and there it is. We managed to draw out the Golurk. I go for an Aqua Tail on the first move, and it looks like I'm going to be able to reach a crunch, so I decide this time to go ahead and shield my Drapion, and if my opponent lets us go, I'm going to be able to one-shot it. We take the Golurk out with the crunch. Okay, we both have one shield left. Let's see how this plays out. My opponent brings in a Sableye. They take an Aqua Tail from our Drapion. It absolutely hurts the Sableye. I'm gonna go for the, I saved all this energy on my Azu in case I needed to go for a move immediately on one of my opponent's back Pokemon. So I go for that Play Rough immediately. We get their final shield, and then I get all that energy on Azu before swapping out into Morpeko. We go for an Aura Wheel, take the Sableye out, and because I'm in hangry mode, I'm gonna go for a Psychic Fangs before going for an electric type Aura Wheel up against this Azu, and we are going to take that win yet again. Another game where Morpeko absolutely wrecks for us. We were able to get that Golurk out of the way, and with Golurk out of the way, Morpeko was able to handle the rest of my opponent's Pokemon. Moving on to the next battle, we were up against a Golurk on the lead, and my opponent swaps into Fortress. I decide to bring in Morpeko for the Fortress, and of course I have to invest a shield. Thank goodness they took the first Aura Wheel because it does a lot of damage, and then I'm able to take them out with a Psychic Fangs. Now, my Morpeko is boosted, so I go for a Psychic Fangs, and I get my shield back from their Golurk at least. And then I bring in my Azu. My opponent is going to swap into their own Azu. I still have a Drapion to take care of this Azu. I'm going to start going for these crunches, really hoping for a debuff because that will really help us. But I'm going to go ahead and let the Ice Beam go on Drapion. I'm thinking I might save my final shield for my Azu. Yeah, I'm just going to let this go and then bring in Azu. I was going to farm up as much as I can. That way I could reach 2 Ice Beams up against this Golurk. But they are going to bring that Golurk immediately and start going for these Shadow Punches. I feel like the Shadow Punches might hurt more than the Play Rough from Azu, so I go ahead and use my final shield. I should be able to reach another Ice Beam here, take that Golurk out, and my Azu is still really healthy, so my opponent is going to go ahead and top left. GG's to our opponent, but in that game, Azu kind of carried. Guys, we have reached the final battle of the video, and surprisingly, the team is going to be the same as the team we faced in the last match. So we were up against that Golurk on the lead. My opponent swaps into that Fortress, and of course, I am going to bring in that Morpeko. Morpeko resists the fast move, which is Volt Switch. I'm able to go for 2 Aura Wheels up against this Fortress, and they let it go, thank goodness. And of course, gonna go for this Psychic Fangs up against this Golurk, and we get our shield back. So far it's going pretty much the same as the last match, but my opponent goes ahead and throws a Shadow Punch here on our Azu. I let it go, and this time my opponent farms up to the Play Rough. So I actually decide to shield here because their Azu is still very healthy. It ends up being the Play Rough, and I'm gonna go for these crunches, and hopefully I can leave with a little bit of extra energy. If I win this, I don't think I'm gonna win this. I think my opponent is gonna be able to reach another move. Yeah, that Aqua Tail was not enough to take them out. They reach another Play Rough. They're able to take our Drapion out, and I really need to get this final shield out of the way. I go for an Ice Beam. We get that final shield, and it's gonna get close, I think. I'm able to reach another Ice Beam to take their Golurk out, and it's going to come down to who can reach the Play Rough first, but it looked like I was going to be able to farm my opponent down, so my opponent goes ahead and quits, and that is going to be a 5-0 with Morpeko, and to top it all off, I get a Morpeko from the GBL encounter. So the game was like, yeah, here you go. Here's your Morpeko because you used Morpeko to get this 5-0. So yeah, that was pretty nice. And that is going to be Morpeko in the Halloween Cup. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you've made it this far into the video. I really hope you enjoyed those battles because I really enjoyed playing them. I should say, these are probably some of my best battles. But anyways, if you guys like my content, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like, it helps me out so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!